Welcome to Ever Beyond on Wolf Spirit Radio. Be prepared to leave your belief systems behind as we go beyond teachers, beyond gurus, beyond duality, ever beyond, 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 beyond. Welcome to JessicaMystic and DiegoFontanieve. Is that how you pronounce it, Diego?
Something like that. In Italian, sounds like Fontanieve, but many people mistake my surname like in an English way or in a German way, like Fontanieve, but it's fine.
Fontanieve.
Exactly. That's very good. Exactly.
There we go. I'm just balancing up your sound. So that's beautiful. So today we are going to talk about going beyond fear, and I see that from watching your posts, Jessica, that there are processes that are going on for you personally, as well as that are educating you and showing you, the next step for yourself. So, how do you want to start this, and who wants to kick off?
Okay, I'll start with saying I started traveling the world about 7 months ago, wanting to do workshops on soul archaeology, and I had all these plans to go to all these other places after Bali, but when I met this guy here in Bali, it changed all my plans, and I just realized that I want so much to help people really to liberate themselves, and I'm really fascinated with why certain things work and why things don't. Like, for example, so many people want to have these beautiful relationships. They want to be able to do these amazing projects, their missions, and so forth. And it seems like we tend to we can only go so far, and then we seem to self-destruct after a while, or we push our loved ones away, or we destroy our project just because there's things going inside of us that we still haven't dealt with, that we don't have a good understanding of or the right relationship with as well. And so this became extremely intriguing to me, and Diego is very passionate about helping people have a better relationship with fear and understanding it, so that they can really liberate themselves, I guess. So I'll let Diego explain a bit more about it, but that's kind of how it started for me. And yeah.
Thank you. So, Diego, welcome to Beyond.
Thank you. So, first of all, I would like to say that I do really like the beginning of the show, when you say moving beyond the beyond, which means beyond ourselves, first of all. And to do that, what we have to do is what we need, and especially nowadays, is a full understanding of ourselves. So the first point to go, or at least to the attempt to move beyond fear, is to realize, to inquire, and to understand fully who is me and who is not me, meaning the conditionings that we have, meaning the past. So we are living a place here in Bali, especially the location which we live is called Ubud, which is kind of homeland for, let's say, spiritual people and spiritual people that are searching for something. It doesn't matter if they search for a new technique, like a new kind of yoga or meditation or raw food, or a new retreat, a new workshop, or a new guru, perhaps, or just a new lifestyle, let's say. The fact is that I have been living here for more than 4 years, so I met a lot of people, and the majority of them are basically looking for a way to become a better person, which implies also a way to get rid of their confusions, their fears. They're what they call existential fear, not natural fear, like fear of a snake. We have to be very clear in this definition. When we talk about fears, we intend existential fear in terms of psychological fears like anxiety, or fears that come from abstraction. Many people are in fear, they don't even know why. So the fact is that many people are willing to come here because of the craziness which is going on, especially in Western countries, in terms of lack of communication, lack of sensitivity, lack of emotionality, impossibility to talk, to communicate, to share in a deep way, in an emotional level, and in a sincere level. But the fact is that they are looking for tools to fix up something that perhaps they are afraid to face in an honest way. So what I'm saying is that nothing is wrong, first of all. Nothing is wrong in meditation techniques or yoga or raw food, of course. But the problem comes when people identify themselves in these tools, what they call spiritual tools, and they don't realize that actually, honestly, there is no relationship between yoga, raw food, meditation, whatever, and what they call spirituality, because spirituality is mostly an expectation that people have to clean up their confusion, but without facing the honest and deep inquiry in their confusions.
So in a way, it's being used as an escape, or to just kind of hide what's going on. So to go even deeper, to actually go right into their fears, to look at it honestly, to be able to observe it, is what he's getting at.
Yeah. So the main point is that also according with the slogan in the beginning of this show, to go beyond, the willingness to go beyond implies the self-admission that we have to be honest enough to admit to ourselves that in the while we are looking for some kind of freedom from fears, in the moment we are looking for that, the moment we see or we meet someone that shows us just a little flare of that freedom, we don't like it. So first of all, we have to admit to ourselves, and this is the first step toward a self-awakening and let's say a self-consciousness. The first step is to admit to ourselves that in the while we are looking for freedom, psychologically, intimately, existentially, we don't like it, because the freedom we are looking for is the unknown, is the unfamiliar, is what we don't know. Perhaps a lot of us, many of us, is something that we never experienced.
And it challenges us to let go of certain beliefs and ideas about ourselves, too. I remember when Diego first brought this up, I actually kind of argued with him. People want to be free. I want to be free. We like it. But then realizing my own patterns, he had me really observe myself, and I saw how I single-handedly kept... If it was quiet or peaceful for a portion of time, I would get nervous about that, and I'd do something to create some kind of conflict or chaos. I was observing myself doing this over and over, and I was really curious, what is going on inside me? What are the patterns here? Because I see other people do it now all the time too. So I was really challenged to go beyond all the things I thought about myself and beliefs and just let it all go. I mean, I've always lived by the quote and saying, there are no limits, just beliefs. So now, I mean, but not just to say that is one thing, but to live it and apply it and experience firsthand is something else. So I was very intrigued and up to, further exploring this with Diego.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is one of the big issues, and this is one of the things that I'm dealing with all through my kind of radio career, as it were, is belief systems and beliefs in general, and having conversations with some great minds over this period, and it turns out that a lot of what we think we know are actually beliefs, and that. There are people who are absolutely convinced of certain things, but they're actually beliefs. And I don't know, I think maybe somebody who knows something, there's got to be some way of being able to discern whether you know something or whether you believe something. And I'm sure that this is where your work has taken you, Diego.
Yeah. Because actually you rightly say that the belief we have is I would like to say that is not one of the main issues, but is the top of the issues, and it is also the main problem. So if we to understand why we put ourselves in the situation to identify ourselves with what we believe in, we have to inquire, we have to understand in which way the belief born. Meaning to say, if we suppose a situation, for example, let's say a situation in which we are in a beach, we are quiet, peaceful. We have, I don't know, if we are smoker, we have our cigarette. If we are not, we have our glass of wine. It doesn't matter. We are in a perfect moment, enjoying and experiencing the beauty of the moment, the nature, and so on. In a moment in which we have no ideas, no really connection with the past, no schedule for the future. We are just experiencing the moment, right? So in this moment, actually, we are perceiving the energy of the situation itself, including our energy, without conditionings, without beliefs, without thinking, this is a sunset, this is a beach, this is myself. We think beyond the intellectual range of the mind. And this is what I call perception, which is the moment in which we perceive things that we know, but our mind doesn't know. So, in this moment we are experiencing what I call a spontaneous meditation, which is a moment that doesn't come from a desire to experience something.
Not force, no routine, no structure, which is some of the problems with meditation, is when we force ourselves to do it, it's not spontaneous, it's not a natural flow kind of a thing. And that creates friction and conflict.
Let's say that is an unconditional moment. And this is fine. The problem comes when, after this moment, after the sunset, the day after, doesn't matter, when we try to build up the willingness to get this moment back, and to do that, we start to invent, we start to use the intellect, we start to use the psyche, to invent tools or techniques or stratagems to get this moment back, to experience one more time this moment. And from this moment, from this action comes the willingness to build up some ideas. Then those ideas becomes beliefs. Then they become perhaps dogmas. Then they become institutions, or perhaps they become religions. Look at, for example, what happened to the Buddhism. Buddhism, which is not really a religion, that actually comes from just the experiencing of a person, but that was called Siddhartha. and people built up a religiosity. And in regard, for example, in regard of religiosity is supposed to be something that is aimed to go beyond, but is not, because the platform of each religiosity is just intellectual. It is an intellectual decoding of something that the mind cannot decode. So, what I'm saying is that we have in this experience, in this physical experience, in this genetic body, in this I like to call it genetic suite. We are having an experience that involved the mind too, and the mind needs psychological security in order to work properly. So without psychological security, we cannot. The mind cannot work. But the problem is that this is fine. But the problem is that what are we doing? In which way are we using our mind to build up or to find out this psychological security?
Very good point.
Because if our psychological security comes from the adhesion, from the fact to be a part of community, or a part of our background, or a part of our society, or a part of our even family or group of friends, or religiosity too. If so, actually, let's say the fuel and the glue of my psychological security is not coming from myself; it's coming from something else. So I'm having also not just my intellectual life, but I'm experiencing also my emotional life. Therefore, if the content and the bricks of my psychological security comes from outside, because it's easier, on that way it creates always a friction inside of myself, because my emotionality doesn't match fully the bricks, the metaphoric bricks that comes from outside. And that's why this is the main reason why people all over the world, it doesn't matter the culture, the religion, or whatever, fundamentally they are struggling within, especially nowadays.
Particularly because of the conditioned programming that's happening to us of our past, of our family, our religion, the society, who we think we should be, how others want us to be. All of that is constantly getting in the way of just allowing us to be who we really are.
So I'm very aware of the fact that perhaps what I'm saying, not just because of my accent, is perhaps a bit difficult to understand to so many people, including from the intellectual point of view. But to say it in a different way, to understand, to go beyond the fear, we have we can play, our daily mantra like peace, love, and light, but it doesn't work really much. To go beyond the fear is to understand fully the origin of fears, because fears, I repeat, existential fear in terms of anxiety, which is the reason why we are depressed, is just, if we observe honestly, is just an abstraction that we are creating, and fear exists only when is in relationship with something, right? So if I am depressed, if I have a kind of anxiety constantly, perhaps this fear, if we understand even from we understand it even from the intellectual point of view, can exist only if it is in relationship with something else. So the problem is that to understand the origin of the root of my anxiety, my fear, and so on, I have to understand what is the partner, what is the connection of this fear that I'm having inside my experiencing of life. So fear can be real, because unfortunately it's real, but it's not is not necessary at all. Fear is real only because we connect fear with our beliefs, and our beliefs are connected with our past, and our past is our perception of time. This is to say that if our beliefs comes mostly from our environment, our community, and our past too, which is a part of our environment, meaning our beliefs comes not from ourselves but comes from outside. Mm-hmm. This is the factory of our fears. And our fears are real because they are in relationship with these conditionings.
And also the lack of the ability to communicate with those conditionings as well, or with the fear, making it into an enemy, making it into something that we need to fight. And the more we do this, and so many people have been doing this for millennia, collectively, we've manifested the kind of reality that we're experiencing right now with the Illuminati and the suppression and so forth. So if we can be aware of what's going on inside us and what we're doing, and working with our communication inside, which will also reflect it within our relationships and our projects as well, then we will start to be able to have a peaceful inner existence that will reflect outside again as well.
Yes. But also, I would like, in regard of, I don't used to talk that much about this stuff, about the New World Order and Illuminati, but this, I have to say that all, or the majority, of all the modern spirituality and New Age scenario is actually exactly what they want. The constant repetition of love, peace, and light. And many people that used to say love is the truth and truth is love. I mean, it's fine, but on that way, you know, I came across a lot of people that are continuously repeating this mantra, like a kind of a spiritual parrots that are continuously repeating this without inquiring, without realizing in the fact that our world is a mess, especially in Western countries. So, and the people are suffering, including the majority of the spiritual speakers. I met a lot of, I have been living in India, I've been living in Bali, in a lot of places that are intended like the spiritual places. Mm-hmm. I met a lot of kind of gurus or spiritual speakers, and I have to be honest that the majority of them are totally messed up with their life. In terms of they know what to say, but they know what to say because they are actually repeating a mantra, but they are not dealing profoundly, intimately, honestly in their life, trying to find out, to figure out and to build up a kind of integrity which is extremely required nowadays.
An integrity with themselves rather than just trying to impress everybody else, it's very like to make other people think that you're enlightened.
It's not okay. Most of them are a lot of them are doing that because of business, and we know that. But the majority of them are really willing to change something in the world, with their followers. But I'm sorry, that's not the way, because it seems to me that the modern spirituality is just a cloudy excuse for so many people to find out something that is still misty in a world in which each structure is falling down financially, religiously, socially, psychologically, and intimately too. So, what is quite sad is that spirituality is becoming something like a kind of new drug, exactly, new existential drug, in which to find existential shelter,
temporary solution from one thing to the other, but having to create a problem subconsciously as well in order to seek another solution, and the cycle, the loop of this continues.
Yeah, but
yes.
The fact is that
I'm sorry, Diego. Go on.
No. Just I wanted to say that in a very simple way, if we really want to end our fear, we cannot be a follower. We can't be followers.
Of a guru, a teacher, of masters, ascended masters, of any deities.
We have to be observer and not followers, because the moment you follow, you are looking for you are seeking for something, and so how can you
disempowering yourself?
How can we find a form of even psychological peace in order to think properly and to inquire without conditionings, if we follow this and that, trying to achieve the new form of meditation, or to meet, to reach the new guru, or to read the new book?
That's right. That's right. Because really, Diego, this is what the show's all about: is to try to bring people more to the source of knowledge systems rather than belief systems, source of knowledge. And you brought up some really excellent points. So the first one I wanted to go to is psychological safety, which is just it's that literal peace that allows you to think properly, think critically in the moment when most people are running around scared. So you're offering tools for people to get to that place of peace?
But not really. The main tool is us. The main tool, the most important tool for myself, if I want to deal with my fears, is myself, right? But not myself according with the idea of myself, which is the past. Because the idea of myself is the past, right? And, for example, to open a parenthesis, when we are in a group of people, meeting people, usually what happens is that people start asking, like, who are you? And meaning what you do, and who are you? And people say, I am a lawyer, I am a dentist, I am a student, I am unemployed, I am Russian, I'm Italian, I'm English, I'm American, I'm Muslim, I'm Catholic, I'm whatever. I'm spiritual, perhaps. But when you say, I am just doing my life, I'm doing my life. Is my life. I'm living this moment, not the past. I'm living in this moment, and in this moment I'm responsible because I'm building up my psychological and existential future. If you say that, usually people start to look at you in a very weird way. They start saying, this guy is quite weird, this guy want to be superior, want to be something else. They accuse you of kind of arrogance or something like that.
Or they think you're crazy because, you have to have a job, you have to have some kind of identity. See, he refused to put himself in a box,
but actually,
in that moment, a label. Just living my life, just being me. It's almost like it's not allowed nowadays. Like there's this hidden message now, it seems, where you have to fit into one thing or another, find yourself, or rather create yourself. But beyond labels and jobs.
the funny part is that actually you're saying the most honest and practical thing. You're saying, I'm me now. Not. We can talk about my past, but in the first moment that we are introducing with each other, I'm actually telling you that I'm me right now, and it's not something weird. So why this approach became something so weird? Because the majority of the people are actually like in a movie theater, looking at the screen, look at the movie at the screen, and they say that they don't like that movie, so they complain because of the movie. But you will never change the movie on that way. You can complain continuously, but you can't change the movie. And even if you are not even the actor on that movie, because what you are is the movie projector that is projecting the movie, and this action takes place in your present moment. The movie is the way how you in terms in general, of course, you are picking up stuff from your past, projecting it on the screen of your psychological future, and on that way, we are continuously forgetting the fact that life is that thing that happened to us now, in the while we are busy in doing other projects.
While we're making our plans.
Or in the while we are busy in figuring out what life is, through books, through the guru, through spirituality. And this is exactly where the new world spiritual order is actually working. This point, which is the forgetfulness of the present moment, is where they work.
And light.
They work there to make you believe that you need a kind of new age perspective of life, or a spirituality or technique to become a better person.
Rather than just finding the answers inside yourself. Always looking outside yourself, always giving your power away to someone else, such as politicians, again, so we're always giving the power to them, and then we find that that doesn't necessarily have our best intentions in mind, particularly with parts of ourselves where we're giving our power away to not necessarily have the best intentions that we're not aware of. What it is just to create more problem and solutions within ourselves. So we can give ourselves this idea that we're making progress, that we're growing, that this is life and this is natural, but it's actually not. It's just the opposite.
But in regard, for example, of politicians, if we inquire in the tools they use, is basically something pretty similar to the spiritual scenario. Politicians use some particular words, which are change, hope, like Obama change, Obama hope, and actually is the same scenario of the modern in the modern New Age. Change, hope, spirituality, become something better, become a spiritual person.
See the light.
But if we inquire in this action in a very practical way, if I'm willing to become a better person tomorrow, this must be my belief system, right? So my belief system, in order to do something really practical, to become a better person tomorrow or the next 10 years, it doesn't matter. I have to build up my personal belief system. So my belief system becomes, becoming a better person. In order to believe in a belief system, to trust my belief system with my psychological security, I have to know also the opposite of it. So the opposite of it becomes enemy, and thus from here comes duality. So this is a very paradoxical point. If I want to become a better person tomorrow, this is my belief system. what is the opposite of this belief system? Because I need an opposite of a belief system in order to believe in this belief system and to follow it. The opposite of this belief system is the person I am today. And on that way, I'm unconsciously creating what I fight.
So you've made yourself today into the enemy of tomorrow, because tomorrow it will always be, you'll be the better person. So that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy that locks us into always focusing on tomorrow, and it's misty and it never seems to come.
So to go beyond and to understand fear, and to go beyond the beliefs, meaning the conditionings, we have to understand that we are intimately responsible for the existence of duality. We are building up a duality. It's not something evil that is there and we have to fight it. We are building up that. It's hard. It's unpleasant.
It's our interpretation of it that makes it what we consider evil. But as soon as we believe in good, we have to immediately create some kind of conflict of an idea of bad or evil or wrong inside of us. And those two are constantly fighting inside of us because we are in duality, because we're always making ourselves feel we need to make a choice rather than bringing them into balance. So, focusing on light all the time, which creates blindness, right? We know what happens when there's too much light.
It's a very unpleasant a situation for so many people, because I do know a lot of people that used to say, "No, but what you are talking about? I'm cultivating just love. Everything is love. If you think positive, you will get what you want." But actually, I'm sorry, you are not inquiring in your life, and it's too easy to talk about freedom or love or light or peace from inside your mental prison, your mental jail. So the truth is that the more we talk about love, light, and spirituality,
or even happiness,
without inquiring in our confusions, in our fears, and with conditionings, we are actually unconsciously destroying a true possibility to build up a kind of a better myself and a better world, without expectation, in an unconditional way, without dogmas, without following someone. How there can be a leader in an unconditional community? How there can be a belief in an unconditional community? So, to go, or at least to try the attempt to go beyond the fear, we have to be honest enough to admit to ourselves that we are the creators of those fears. And according with the statistics, has been written something like 400,000 books has been written about peace. And all along the history of mankind, something like 4 million books, poetry and whatever has been written about love. Not to say the personal writings or poetry. So the question is, who exactly, honestly and seriously want to talk about love? Who want to write and read another book about love?
Particularly when we're every day waking up to a world that is seeming to be just the opposite. Still so much war, still so much chaos, still so much control.
So,
well,
is
that's great.
You know, so
yes,
is something that is frustrating, but it's not something to be sad. But I do think that, especially nowadays, and in a world which is in decay and is a mess, and especially after what I like to call it the 2012 delusion, in which many people were expecting standing, or running to stand still. They were expecting a kind of, I don't know, a rise of awakening or a rise of consciousness or evolution of the psyche that never come. So we have to. I do believe that it's time to face radically, honestly, our fears as like they are, and understanding that beyond the existential fears slips our energy, because fears, first of all, is a form of energy, and first of all, we are made by energy. We are not made by our ideas of ourselves. We are made by energy. No one can say that is not true, because from every point of view, religiously, intellectually, scientifically, philosophically, and whatever, first of all, we are made by energy, not by beliefs and not by ideas.
And how can we put any merit on time when past, present, and future are all existing at the same time, simultaneously? So focusing or locking in on a date, or focusing and locking in some deity or some collective shift where somebody else will fix this, solve the problems, rather than us having to take full responsibility. No ETs and no ascended masters or gods are going to bail us out of it, because we got ourselves into this mess, we created it, and we're the ones that have to get out of it. Individually.
Many people ask me, okay, interesting, but how can I practically and even intellectually do that? So I do believe that the answer is within the question, is inside the question itself, and the question is, can my mind think about my fears, my confusions, my anxiety, without the thoughts that created that fear, without the ideas that created that fear?
That's tricky.
And the answer is yes. Can I think about my fear without the ideas that created that fear? Yes. And people say, how? Okay, can mind think without how?
Yes.
Yes. So, for example, if suppose that I'm confused because I have been raped when I was a child, or this and that. It doesn't matter. I'm confused because of my past, and because of the way how through my past I'm abusing of myself in my present moment. But people say, but the reason why I'm like that, messed up, confused, is because of the events that happened in the past.
Sounds like an excuse.
It is an excuse, because the fact that happened is a fact, and a fact is no more but a fact. It's just an event. The problem is the way you react to the fact.
Over and over and over again, feeling a reason that makes you less than, or a reason to punish yourself, or that you don't deserve love or happiness,
exactly.
Or so forth.
And if we don't understand it, then spirituality, for example, or religiosity, or even a career, becomes a way to promote this kind of psychological and existential blindness, and to avoid the fact that the problem is not the problem, but the problem is my attitude toward the problem, is the way I'm dealing with the problem to be the problem. The problem is just a fact, no more but a fact. Is my behavior existentially, psychologically, and energetically with the problem to be the real problem? If I try to find out an excuse because it's easier, And because the skills like the spirituality, I do a lot of yoga, I do a lot of meditation, I'm always listening my guru. It's something that you can share with the others. You can you can get a form of approval, a consensus psychologically.
Family.
Oh, exactly. The majority of people are looking for a kind of spirituality. They are basically looking for a family, because these are the tools they need to figure out and to build up their psychological security. But which is fine, nothing is wrong. But this form of psychological security is not a form of psychological security that can make you able to deal with it, to understand profoundly your fears, your confusions, and actually you are spinning around, but you find yourself after 10 years, after 20 years, or after 50 years with the same fears. And this is exactly what is happening. And what I like to call it the new world spiritual order wants right now and in the future, it is exactly this point. By building up through the new age belief a global form of religiosity in which all the religions can actually live there like a big family. And that's the reason why we can see how in the last maybe 10 years, and also because of the internet, a lot of people began to talk about a mix between Christ consciousness mixed together with karma belief, and is a mix of religiosity, what is going on, and which can easily stay and live in the new age scenario. And this creates a tremendous form of debunking and confusion inside the mind of people. I met the most crazy people that they claim to be at the same time they claim to be Muslim, but they are actually building up their form of spirituality with Hindu religious keys. And then they are totally involved in the modern spirituality, saying stuff about Pleiadians and aliens and the fifth dimensions and Christ consciousness. Is something unbelievable. And what is going on is the promulgation, the fabrication of a new global platform of belief in terms of spiritual belief.
Conspiracy as well, which is like a pothole. You get stuck in the obsession of what are they doing now? Oh, I have no power, and that anger that makes us, react with absolutely no clarity and just shoot ourselves in the foot, kind of a thing.
Yes. So Diego.
And
Diego,
yeah.
So what we're really needing to do is find a way. I mean, how do you deprogram all the different people in the world who believe things that are complete lies? I mean, that's an immense task. I suppose, obviously, I know the answer is is you start on your own beliefs. So how do people start that? And by the way, we've got about 8 minutes to the top of the hour. So,
but the fact is that unfortunately, what we try to do is not pushing people to believe in something else, because the moment you leave a mental structure willing to pick up something new, something different, you are programmed. You are programmed one more time.
Yeah, still another program. It's not a different way of using your structure, but it's just another program that fits in the structure that's already there. So So therefore, how do we then dismantle that structure and help people to experience life in the raw without looking through a belief system lens all the time?
I think I do believe that the main tool to do that lies in a very mysterious word, which is mysterious nowadays, and this word is honesty. So honesty, not in terms of moral value, like an attitude to be cute, polite, and kind, but honesty in terms of full inquiry and disintegration of the self-conditionings, the conditioning of the self. The self cannot be free if the self is following something, and the self cannot be free if the self is actually the slave of the past. And the self cannot be free if the self and ourself are not willing to realize what we do, we really can leave behind our back. So, for example, if someone comes to me and say, yes, I am suffering, but I would like to be free, and I'm totally willing to inquire, to investigate, to observe the roots of my fears, my condition, and stuff like that, but I'm not willing to leave for example, my God, my belief in God. I'm not willing to leave my guru. I'm not willing to leave the morality of me that is in my background, cultural background. I'm sorry, on that way you are going nowhere. Because if you are not willing to cut off, to get rid all beliefs, I'm not saying that you have to destroy your past. I'm not saying that you have to turn into an enemy what before was your friend, like I don't know, God or whatever. No, but what we have to cut off, to get rid of, is the identification we are continuously promoting in our beliefs. Because yeah, please.
Because if you say you're this, then you're not that. So then that immediately is an enemy or something outside of you that you have to fight and argue your way, your truth towards.
But also because the beliefs actually, if we are really honest, we have to say that all of our beliefs, the place where they come from, is not actually the present moment, but it's just the past. All of our beliefs are coming from the past. Is our relationship we are having with the past. So, if I really want to get rid of my existential fears and take my energy back, I have to cut off the rope that connects me with my past.
And that answers your question as how we can get people to disconnect from their beliefs. Each person that does this individually inside themselves, remember it's all a mirror. What happens inside gets projected outside. Or the film, like the metaphor Diego used earlier about going to the theater and being with the people who are yelling at the screen because they don't like what's happening in the movie. It gives us the opportunity to go to the projection room to change the movie or to create a new story. But to be able to just, I forgot what I was going to say.
No, but it's like the metaphors are very helpful sometimes, but we
100 monkey effect.
We can observe and deal with our fears without pushing us, because if the moment we push ourselves, it's like if we try actually to push a ball in a pot of water. The more we try to push the ball down, the more the water responds with the same force. And the same thing is the mind. The more we try to challenge ourselves by using another belief, because, as I said before, we want to become a better person. The more the mind responds with a friction, and the water, metaphorically, that is in the pot is our past. So the more we try to put something new in our past, the more the past reacts with a friction. What about to get out of that pot and understand that if we want really to build up our future in a responsible way, our first responsibility is to realize that the only possibility to build up a clear and honest future in total integrity takes place right now, not in the past and not tomorrow, right now.
Go deep inside yourself, like the ball, submerge yourself, and the only way for the ball to get out of the water is to submerge itself. And the more it submerges itself, it creates this friction, this pressure that makes it pop and fly right up and goes onto the land.
Yeah,
and that's liberation.
But liberation is a very scary topic for most of the people, because people want freedom.
Yes.
Not freedom among men, freedom between nations, but freedom in terms of psychological freedom, existential freedom. It doesn't matter if you are in a concentration camp or you're doing or you are working in a field in the jungle or in the jungle. Psychological freedom. So, but we have to be honest enough to admit that everybody, each one of us, like to talk about freedom, but comfortably sitting in the cage within the personal mental prison.
How many people do you actually know that are free? I mean, even someone like, say, Amachi, the hugging saint, who is, people are aspiring to be like. She's a complete slave to her work and to the people that are managing and controlling her. But this is enlightenment. We always think, okay, we have this goal. I want to be enlightened, and one day I'll be like her. But we don't really think what it's actually going to be like, this idea that it could be another form of a prison. So when we challenge people to go beyond their beliefs, we get a lot of resistance and anger from people, and this is where the controversial aspect comes from what we're saying. But it's part of the process.
Jessica,
yes.
We're at the top of the hour, and I want you to hold that thought, because those are the seed thoughts that we're going to be exploring in the next hour.
This is Ever Beyond with JP.
And welcome back to Ever Beyond. And I didn't make it with the kettle. The kettle's still boiling. That's that sound in the background. Anyway, tonight I am speaking with JessicaMystic. JessicaMystic. Hey, are you still JessicaMystic, or are you Jessica Schaub now?
I'm more Jessica Schaub now. But I mean,
that's like your YouTube handle, isn't it? Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it stuck. I mean, it was just my email, but then everybody kept calling me that, and I'm like, okay. But I mean, it really just means because I'm very fascinated with the unknown and wanting people to understand that, to create a bridge and so forth. And I mean, again, that's about challenging everything we think we know for what we could actually know, experience, and feel, and so forth. So, yeah.
So there we go.
Either one. Good.
We're also speaking with DiegoFontanieve, and everybody's really enjoying the accent. That's a great thing. I hope you enjoyed that last track. That was a version of Dark Side of the Moon's Us and Them. And fear is very much of an us and them kind of situation. You know, there's always a fight going on, and even I've been thinking recently about my experience. I had what people call a cold a couple of weeks ago, and I tried to dismantle, to deconstruct the experience, watching how my body was reacting, and one of the things that I was discovering was that the virus itself was responding to my fear. And I thought I'd bring this into the mix because I think it's a very important point, is that what happened is that they were all getting scared because I went into a panic because I thought, oh, I'm getting a cold, which is a form of panic. And, you know, it totally changes somebody's aspect. You know, it took all the joy out of me for a start. And I was in a pretty good space at the time, and then suddenly, boom, this thing hit, and I was not in that space anymore, and I got, quote, ill, unquote. And then I was looking at these little fellows and sort of kind of trying to zoom into their morphological consciousness field, and what I saw was that they were like people when they're starving, is that they reproduce. You know, the problems with what people call the third world, in that, you know, people are reproducing like crazy, is because they're crazy, because they're crazy with fear, and it was the moment, you know, I just sort of thought, all right, hang on, I get this, when the fear that I was putting out got into the viruses took it on, thought it was their own fear, or responded to how they experience fear, which is to reproduce more. Sorry, that's my elbow on the table. And so...
yeah, right.
So this is this is the what I was thinking about, the response of the human to fear is that we're getting the same kind of thing. We're reproducing. We're doing non-thinking behavior because of the fear. And you brought up a really important psychological, a really important concept, which is psychological safety. Which is the foundation consciousness that you need in order to think properly, to think critically. That is, to not believe stuff, but just to, you know, to actually think about it. Whether you want to give yourself the position of choice.
Yeah.
So. Go ahead. I'm sure I've primed you enough.
Yeah, as we said before, psychological safety is a necessary tool we need in order to survive, in order to think properly, in order to work mentally in a correct way. But we have also to admit that all of our psychological safety comes from the comparison we do and we are constantly doing with the past, meaning what is familiar to us. But we also do know and do perceive that there is much more. And for example, this is the reason why people invented the man-manufactured idea of God. I'm sorry if maybe I offend someone, but it's the truth. It's a man-manufactured idea which is supposed to be the unknown, is supposed to be the unfamiliar, but translated by the psyche in an intellectual way, is 100% intellectual and connected with the past. And this has been so for millennia, and is a history of the history of mankind. Is not the history of peace, psychological peace, existential peace, love and light, but being fully honest, the history of mankind has been always the history of suffering, sorrow, and fear. Is the history of fear.
And your cold and body virus was responding in the exact same way, because it's been like that for so long, that just used to natural pattern kind of a thing that we think it is natural.
Yeah. So to open a scientific perspective of it, which I personally don't care that much about the scientific explanations, but just to say it, according with scientists, what we are able to perceive through our five senses of the entire energetic field known today, but maybe not tomorrow, is only the 0.005%. So the 0.005% is the range of comprehension that we are experiencing, including our past and including our idea of God. It's scary, but it's the truth. I think if I remember well, we are between the microwaves, the microwaves, and the ultraviolet rays, or something like that. And also, according with scientists, only the 5% of our daily actions are taken by consciousness. Of course, people fear the unknown, the unfamiliar, and that's why they keep repeating what happened in their past, as you said before, reproducing themselves and over and over and over, or following the measure ideas according with your background, your religiosity, and your mental structure, suggestion coming from the family, and so on.
Cold virus biology inside the body. It's all micro of a macro, how one thing responds and it just zooms out or zooms in. Amplified.
Is a funny and let's say tragicomic situation, because we would like to change. Everybody wants to change in a better way, but unconsciously we are actually repeating the past with all the range of fears and misunderstandings, separation, duality, and all of this new kind of new mantra in the new age scenario, like say oneness, we are all one, is actually true. But when we say we are all one, can we really understand what we are saying? We are all one, but I am Russian. We are all one, but I believe in Allah, and you believe in Christ. We are all one, but I am spiritual, and you are not spiritual because you are not practicing meditation, yoga, and so on. We are all one, but I'm male, and you are female. So what does it mean exactly to be one? And to be one implies also to be one not just among men, but it implies to be one with nature, with my computer, with all the field of energy we are experiencing, consciously or not. Otherwise, the action to say we are all one is actually an act of separation, right?
Absolutely.
Right?
So, what makes me really uncomfortable in watching and observing the modern spirituality is this easy way to promote positivity without inquiring in what negativity exactly is. And this is to say that negativity and positivity are just concepts. And this is very tricky and very controversial, because people say, okay, and what about the serial killer? Is that not negative? Of course it's negative. But what about to inquire in the reason why the serial killer has become like that? And look at the situation of the inside the hearts and the mind of people all over the world, which is mostly about suffering and confusion and sorrow and dualities and so on. What is the reason to say that this is negative? We should think positive, because if we want to think positive, as we said in the previous hour, in the last hour. If we want to think, the willingness to think positive implies another belief system. So I want to think positive to become a better person. In order to believe and to promote this belief system, and you have to know its opposite. And on that way, I'm actually promoting, first of all, duality. Duality leads to separation, and separation leads to sorrow, suffering. What about to understand and to realize that even the idea think positive is just another belief? And to go seriously, honestly, and practically beyond the beliefs, we have to accept the uncomfortable journey that we have to face in order to get out of our mental prisons, which are made by the bricks of our conditionings. And the most scary thing is that it happens when we realize that the door is open and there is no police there, no spiritual mental police, if not us.
Or judge or jury, which we always experience inside our heads.
It's like if we are living a dream, and this life is no more but a dream within a dream within a dream, mostly is a nightmare, and we don't want to realize the fact that we are the creator of the dream, and there is no difference between the dreamer and the dream is doing. And to the majority of people get tremendously afraid when they realize that the door of their prison is open.
That waking life is also a dream. And if we are to be aware that it's a dream, just like we can when we're having a lucid dream, then we can start to really start to be living life the way it was meant to, in our potential, in that infinite potential, evolving with nature.
There was a story, which was a real story. I think there is also a movie about it, but I forgot the name. About a guy that he had been living in prison for something like 50 years of his life. And then when he got out of the prison, he was something like probably 70 years old.
Oh, I think that's a Shawshank Redemption.
Maybe, or The Wings of Freedom, I think, or something like that. And then basically the day after he killed himself, because he was not any longer able to match, to live the freedom, of course, on that way. And there, in regard of this movie, we are talking about a practical freedom, which is much easier than the intimate freedom and the existential freedom. The truth is that the majority of mankind is living in a form of amnesia and a form of slavery that they themselves are promoting. And the most scary thing is the possibility to get out of this labyrinthic structure of the mind made by conditionings, beliefs, fears, and so on. And the funny part of this topic is a metaphor that I like to, a metaphor and a question that I like to say sometimes, and which is this: if we suppose that we are inside a labyrinth, and we want to get out of the labyrinth, and there is no way to get out of the labyrinth. We can throw a bomb, we can try to jump, we can try to destroy the walls, doesn't matter. There is no way to get out. No, 100%. No way to get out of the labyrinth. So the question is, how can we get out of the labyrinth? It's a very tricky question. What do you think?
The first thing is to realize that you are in a labyrinth.
Yeah.
Because you could think this is just normal life. I think, there's a vast number of people who just believe that that's all there is to their lives. They get up in the morning, they go to work, they do their work, they come home, they eat food, they watch TV, they go to sleep, and the whole thing cycles round.
Okay. So how would you get out?
Well, like I said, you have to first of all realize that there is a labyrinth around you, and that there's an outside that you have to get to somehow, and you need the key to the door, or you need to find a way out. You need to find an escape route. That a flaw in the structure of the imprisoning labyrinth would be something that you would need to exploit. So, what method do you advise? Finding the door, finding the key. Where do we go?
But even if you find the doors, the keys, there is 100%. There is no way to get out of the labyrinth. But you want to get out. So the question that you are the 50%, yes, is the realization that you are in the labyrinth. But then to go beyond the labyrinth, we have to realize that in the moment we know that we are in a labyrinth, we start a comparison, right? A comparison with the idea that the labyrinth is there, right? So how can we get out of the labyrinth?
Asked that question already.
It's very,
Tell them the answer.
the answer is that the labyrinth has never been real, but we keep promoting the labyrinth unconsciously if we don't know that the labyrinth is there, and consciously, which is even worse, when we know that the labyrinth is there because of our comparison. So, if the labyrinth is our fears, the environment of our fears, confusion, anxiety, and willingness to find out the way out, the key that could be in spirituality or whatever, the first realization is to drag it into the conscious mind, as you rightly said, and then to realize that the only way that this environment can exist is because of the comparison we do. It happens because of the way we compare our psyche with the environment in which our fears lives, fears, confusion, and so on. So, if we think that the solution is seeking for keys, like spiritual keys, or intellectual keys, or even financial keys to get rich or something like that, and all the things that for example, the movie The Secret suggests that are just keys to move, to follow something else, to practice something else, the labyrinth will still there, and we will just running to stand still all the time. And every change we will create will take place just within the labyrinth. Is not get out of the labyrinth. Is not an action to get out of the labyrinth. So the real change, in order to go beyond of the labyrinth, the metaphoric labyrinth, and the fears and the confusion, is the realization that all of this environment has never been real. We have been suppressing ourselves intimately for years, and socially as mankind for millennia, through the searching for something to fix up a situation. And where are we now? Where are we now socially, historically, and intimately? Dealing with the same things, trying to figure out new ways, try to reach this and that form of enlightenment, try to read this and that books, try to follow this and that guru, or to build up our identity. And the moment we do that, we are no longer free. Indeed, for example, when we were children, when we were kids, the majority of us had an imaginary friend in order to play unconditionally, to build up imagination, fantasy, perceptiveness, visionariness, and so on. And then when we grow up, we began to build up imaginary enemies, right? And these things as being real just from the point of view of our imagination, which is a form of perception, but has never been real in form of duality. So to go beyond...
Money is imaginary, God's is imaginary, as opposed to when we were kids with our imaginary friends, the worlds that we had created. I mean, how many of us remember when we were kids jumping from very high heights and not being harmed at all, like floating or hovering? It's amazing how many people have told me they've had something of an experience like that because they had no beliefs, they had no duality. They're living the way, connection with nature, who they really are in their infinite potential. And they never thought whether they're happy or needed a reason for this or that.
So to go beyond is to realize the comparison we are doing with our past and our environment, and then to cut off it, to cut off the identification we are doing, the comparison. For example, one big pillar of freedom, psychological freedom, and even psychological safety, is stop caring about what other people will say and will think about us. Is stop caring about what will happen to me if I don't follow the mental structure that my society is suggesting me all the time. If we stop the comparison, we will find ourselves able to see what there is beyond the comparison. And the moment we are able to see, to observe our fears, is also the moment in which we are able to go beyond our fears and take back our energy, which is trapped beyond the fears. I'm talking metaphorically, right? But what I'm saying is the possibility to do it practically, to get rid of fears in a practical way. And this is the project we are trying to do here. Without spiritual keys, without new belief, and without a reprogrammation of the mind.
I sent it to you, JP.
What was that?
I mean, and this is where... we sent it to you, the project that we're working on here with doing soul archaeology that leads to the end of fear. Having a place for people to go that are sensitives, where you can also call them indigos or crystals. It's all just labels, but just people who are sensitive, who want to just be able to honestly deal with their fears, to deal with themselves, and then to be able to, after we've gone through that part, to be able to work co-creatively with other people as well, doing various different projects and so forth. In some ways, it's like I call it an X-Men recruitment center.
Recovery.
Recovery and recruitment, to be able to develop ourselves in integrity, and then having a space for children as well to maintain their innocence and integrity and creativity, where they can teach the adults, because they're the real teachers. They don't have that much conditioned programming to overcome, if any, depending on what age they're at and where they're at.
Yeah, well, we've been doing it, but they do get to suck in a lot from all that Disney stuff that they've been watching. Actually, I have to still deprogram my kids from Disney. So we're about half an hour in towards the end of the program, and it's been fascinating. So, would you like to talk a little bit about the kind of community that you? Well, I mean, somebody wants to come along to your community. What's the sort of relationship that ensues? I mean, they arrive. What do? They come in by plane. What's the deal? What's the story? How would they experience it?
I mean, it will be different for everybody. I mean, there's no set structure or routine or program or method per se. Just I've already had people come visit me here in Bali that just felt very compelled to just do it. And when they did, they said, I really honestly want to be free from my fears and these insecurities and these issues that keep coming up. And so we just sat down with him and we shared with him and just gave a few tips, a few pointers, and pointed them in the direction of how to go within themselves and stay there, even when it gets very scary. Diego, for me, has been a good coach with me, with helping me really be aware of my patterns and asking the right questions to go even deeper within myself to get past the firewalls that we all tend to have inside of ourselves. And then from there, it's really just, it kind of just happens naturally, would you say?
Yes, but because each one of us has an ability called sensitivity, and this ability, which is the ability to promote life, according with the personal sensitivity, usually this ability is always in friction with the environment, the background, the conditionings, and so on. And this is the real reason why people get depressed, for example. Even when the real reason why people are suffering of anxiety or even a certain form of schizophrenia, if those people are depressed, and in Western country, I recently read a news, in a medical newspaper in regard of some statistics in the States that claim that the 70% of the students in the States claim to be to suffer of some kind of anxiety, depression, or existential fear. So when people are depressed, it's not because they are suffering because of a disease, as like the Western medicine most of the time says.
You need this drug or that.
But it is because the depression. It doesn't matter the fact that created that depression. Most of the cases is not even a fact. It's just a situation. The depression is an indicator. And it is an indication that you're still emotionally alive. You are not an artificial intelligence. You're still emotionally alive, and your sensitivity is in friction, is struggling with the expectation of your society or your the mentality in which you live, the morality in which you live, the background, and the past too. So, what we the first point in which we want to work is first of all not the attempt to give another perspective of life, but it is a dismantling of all layers that create the depression, the anxiety, the fear, and making those people able to take back the full honesty to deal with their sensitivity, which is their innocence.
Without exploiting them in any way for profit, and not using any form of beliefs or methods or tools or anything like that. Having all that out of the way, then they can get back to who they really are and exploring their innocence.
But for example, most of people think that this very dangerous idea, especially in Western country, that if I am emotional, I'm supposed to be weak in some way. It's a form of weakness, so I should control my emotions. If I am sensitive, perhaps I'm too weird to the many. I will be alone. I will be lonely if I stimulate my sensitivity. Indeed, instead it is exactly the opposite. You are alive because of your sensitivity. And if you don't promote, if you don't communicate with your sensitivity, the moment you lose your sensitivity, you became like artificial intelligence, working, following the path of society, or you become like what I like to say, the spiritual zombie, following your guru blindly, practicing something that you don't even know why. So the sensitivity is the position of our mind in which we can deal with our thoughts, ideas unconditionally, and then we can co-create.
And it happens actually quite quickly. These people that came out here, it happened in less than a week for them. Everybody's different, but it was very interesting to just watch how their life how everything just came together for them, and even how quickly a relationship happened for them. Just with a few simple tips and pointers to show people how to connect with this part of themselves that has all the answers. And they don't need to say, oh, thank you, you did this and that for me, because they start to be able to see how they did it, which is what a true healer is somebody that knows that they heal them. You can't heal anybody, you can't help anyone if you can't help yourself first and foremost.
That's right. You can only
so
heal
you just
yourself.
show people. That's right. And making sure that people take the credit for that and not giving it to someone else, oh, you did this and that for me. Because if you're able to understand this, it's because you've done that inner work within yourself. Otherwise, to a lot of people, it won't make any sense. And then this is where people fight and where it becomes so controversial, is because all we're trying to do is just get people to take off their training wheels, but they're fighting and defending these training wheels. No, I need them, but I mean, do we need training wheels, really?
They fight because, paradoxically, if you make them in the situation to deal with their fears, they basically deal with what is unfamiliar to them. And they want to protect what is familiar to them, meaning the past and the conditionings. It's a paradox because people tend to protect their fears, because their fears are in the known, what they know. Their fears comes from what is familiar to them. Yes. And what is familiar is also their comfort area, their comfort zone. So they tend to protect their comfort zone. Is the main paradox of the mind. People tend to protect the familiar, including their fears, because at least their mind knows the fears that are living there. That's why they get the first, usually for the majority of the people, the first action is the refusal. No, it's too controversial. No, you're talking about negative stuff.
Or
no,
it's evil because you're not promoting love and light and God and so forth.
Yeah. And then this is in some ways a filter, because some people are not really willing to get rid of their labyrinth. And on that case, we are not going to push them. It's up to them. It's their willingness. But those who are willing to do that, most of cases, the first reaction is an uncomfortable reaction, because you are going. In the moment you go beyond, this action to go beyond is not pleasant, because you are facing the unknown. You are facing the unfamiliar. It cannot be pleasant. It's not. You cannot go beyond through peace, love, and light and positivity. I'm not saying that you have to go beyond with negativity, but you have to go beyond all concepts and conditionings and mental structure, and that's not comfortable, because it's a pathless land. You cannot have tools that make familiar the journey you are doing. And that's why people feel like, in the beginning, they feel like a kind of lost. But actually, they are not. They are just facing in order to fly in your existential skies, you have to be able to use your psychological submarine, reaching the depths and the abyss of your psyche.
It feels like a fantasy to many people to imagine a life without fear and living in perpetual peace. But I've been living with Diego for about 4 or 5 months now, and he really seems to have gone beyond the fear, the existential fears, even the physical fears, and even the kind of peace that he lives in as well. So, I mean, there is living proof. There are examples out there. It can be done. So let go of this idea that it's just a fantasy kind of idea that as we continue to be aware of our patterns, the more we are stalking our thoughts and our mind and the movement and how it works, the more we can free ourselves from it.
Then also we have to be honest to say that perhaps some people will say, okay, fine guys, but it's easy for you that you are there in Bali doing easy life in the middle of the nature, but what about me, that I have a family to grow?
Yes.
I have my work in the office that I don't like at all. I have this and that, and I'm living perhaps in New York City that I don't like at all. Is easy for you to say that, but it's hard to set up it in a practical way to me, which is true. But the fact is that it's not because of the environment in which you live, which is very important too. But it's not. You don't have to start from the change of the environment in which you live. You have to start from the dismantling of the way you react to the life you are doing.
Yeah.
Because if you try to change, but you are not honest enough to observe it, to admit to yourself that you are actually protecting your fears that are living in your familiarity environment, on that way you cannot reach any change. Because every time you change, you will be always, in any case, confused. Picking up stuff from the past, meaning picking up stuff from the fears, indeed is exactly what is happening here. But I met a lot of people here, Western people, that are willing to change their life, moving from Western country to come here in Bali, perhaps because a lot of them saw the movie Eat, Pray and Love, and they think that by doing that everything can change in their life. But actually, in the moment they come here, they start living here, they are exactly the same, even worse than before. Confused, looking for spiritual solutions. That's not the way. The way is to realize all conditionings, what is yours and what is not, the personal fears, cut off the comparison you are doing continuously, and from this action, a change can truly, honestly take place in full integrity. Has been reported some cases in the concentration camps in Germany during the war, in which some people that were about to die, they in some way they did it because they had anything else to lose, and they were actually able to help other people to survive even by playing jokes, not because they were crazy because of the situation, but because just they stopped caring about it, saying, okay, what can I do?
And I know so many people want us to focus more on talking about the exciting things like X-Men abilities and so forth, but the truth is we have so many stories, like, for example, the X-Men show in itself, what was that other one, Chronicle, where people have these abilities developed, but they are using it for conflict, for war, destruction, or super soldiers and so forth. Psychological peace is the first thing before we can delve into spirituality, as far as metaphysics, as far as bilocation, levitation, all the amazing abilities that we hear about, which is natural, which is our birthright.
Yeah, but it's scary when when people are looking for stuff like, which is very interesting, but the stuff like bilocation or time travel or fifth dimensions and blah, 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 blah. Actually, why are you looking for that? What is the purpose to send a rocket to the moon and a man to the moon if we are not even able to communicate with ourselves in this planet? So many people are. Seems to me that many people are trying just to figure out some kind of hope, some kind of way out, but without the willingness to inquire honestly and deeply within themselves.
Do any of that inner work, another form of escape. One other thing I wanted to add about the foundation is it's not necessarily people have to physically come see us in Bali. It will also be shared virtually as well. We'll probably get to the point of doing podcasts or recording what's going on here. But also people will feel compelled to want to set up in their country, in their location as well. Just to have as many areas as possible set up where people can... I forgot again. Yeah, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. But must be both practical and virtual, of course. There are so many people that are, as I said in the previous part of this show, they feel both kind of lost and at the same time willing to go beyond, especially after the what, as I call it before, the 2012 delusion, in which they were expecting something, I don't know, metaphysically, mystically, psychologically true, socially true, and nothing happened.
We are the ones we've been waiting for.
I think it is in an age in which all structures are falling down, including perhaps the spiritual one, is extremely important now to stop following someone, stop seeking for existential solution, and co-create together in full honesty what truly could be the end of the personal and existential fear. And then we can really think about a change internally, intimately, and socially too.
We're going to notice more of a collapse of the system, and that's going to create a lot of panic to a lot of people. So, I mean, it's the end of many worlds as we know it, how we think reality is.
Yeah, it's not as...
Belief structures all coming down.
Was not at the end
more
of the
intense,
world.
More pressure, more alchemy of the humanity being conditioned to believe they're nothing more than a worthless piece of coal under extreme heat and pressure, which is what we're experiencing, brings the diamond, or the fertilizer for the seeds in order to grow into its lovely potential. And that's what we're witnessing right now, but it's even more intense now. It's stepped up a notch.
Yeah.
Pushing ourselves to go in, our closets.
So we can clearly see.
So we're about 5 minutes away from the end of the program. So, Jessica, would you like to do the PR thing? How do people get in touch with you? How do people come and book the place and get out to Bali and enjoy themselves and stretch themselves out in the warm sunlight, laying on the beach all day with nothing to do but drink wine and soak up the sun? Sorry. Drifted off a bit there. So, sorry, Jessica, go on.
Not quite like that. It's more like a jungle where we are, not the beach area per se. But okay, so to reach us, I have a website, JessicaMystic.com. Diego has his website.
endofear.weebly.com.
We also are on Facebook. You can find us on Facebook, and we also have an End of Fear group on Facebook. My email is JessicaMystic@gmail.com, and
My email is too long.
We'll write it down and we'll give it to you so you can put it on your website and chat rooms as well afterwards. And there's YouTube and, of course, Skype and various different modalities. And, if you feel compelled to come out here and visit us, great.
But actually, what we are trying to create is, regardless of the virtual aspect of it, is also a physical place in which people, which is supposed to be a foundation with an office, but also with perhaps some rooms in which people can stay there for free. And the place could be connected also with, I don't know if you know the website, the global website Couchsurfing.
Couchsurfing.
Which is all about to share.
Brilliant plan. We got about 30 seconds left. So,
okay.
So DiegoFontanieve and Jessica JessicaMystic, thank you very much for coming on Ever Beyond and going beyond and being beyond. And yes, there is a continuum beyond. There is life after 2012. There's plenty of life after 2012. It's the beginning. So, and with that, let's play the outro, and we'll see you again in maybe a couple of months' time. Thanks very much. Good night.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Beyond.